I'm trying to keep out of the polemics that sometimes polarizes our church because, the faith is so beautiful. There's so much to deepen in our knowledge of the faith and this beautiful tradition of ours. But some of the news that comes out, you just have to say, what is going on here? What is going on? First thing was, Cardinal Cupich has been in Rome lately and he has received a promotion. So Pope Leo appoints Cardinal Cupich to the Commission of the Vatican City-State. It's like the governing office of the Vatican. The Commission is the legislative body of the city-state that was established in 1939. It has the power to approve laws and normative provisions, including the annual and triennial financial plans for the Vatican. Its laws must be approved by the Pope, who as sovereign is the head of the church. Anyway, it's interesting that Cardinal Cupich, who was giving a Lifetime Achievement Award to an excommunicated Catholic who voted for and supported abortion and legislated for abortion, rendering him excommunicated according to the Catechism of the Catholic Church. So a cardinal who's giving a Lifetime Achievement Award to an excommunicated Catholic who had been refused communion in his own diocese by his own bishop, that cardinal now gets promoted in the Vatican. This Prevost papacy is developing interestingly. And then we have the news that for the first time ever in the Vatican, in the Vatican state, besides St. Peter's, in the Vatican territory, we have a Muslim prayer room. So as everybody knows, in the Vatican Library, you have many different manuscripts from different languages from all around the world. It's an incredible library. And many people go there to study not just Muslims, but also Jews and people from other cultures go to study the books that are found in the Vatican Library. And you now have a prayer room in the Vatican where they will place their prayer mats and offer their Muslim prayers at the various times during the day. It's interesting because, people say, "Oh, Robert, why are you judging it? It's why we're just being compassionate to people that are going to the Vatican. There's nothing wrong with this. It's just a room, one of many rooms in the Vatican that they've given over to Muslims so that they can have a place to pray." But we saw that Crux interview in Castel Gandolfo, in which the Pope said that the discussion on the traditional Latin Mass is difficult and that he's leaving it over to the synodal process in 3 years' time, kicking the can down the road. So at the moment, the Church is going through this process of purging itself, cleansing itself, removing the traditional Latin Mass from all the diocesan locations, getting rid of it slowly but surely. At the same time, you also have a pilgrimage of group walking through the Vatican with a rainbow cross covered with rainbow flags, with a bag on, some people carrying a bag on them with the words F the rules. Like what gets permitted in the Vatican is fascinating. What is permitted in the Vatican is fascinating, and what is not permitted in the Vatican is fascinating. Imagine if you went to Rome and say, look, we would like to maybe celebrate traditional Latin Mass on a side altar here in the Vatican on such and such a day. They'd have to run around looking for permissions and, with Cardinal Roach there. Oh, no, it's difficult. Sorry, we don't know, traditionis custodes, all this. And yet a group of Muslim scholars go there. Can we have a room to say our Muslim prayers? Yes, so sure you can. A Catholic isn't allowed to step into Mecca. People don't realize this. A Catholic is not allowed to step into Mecca. And much less is a Catholic church allowed to have Mass in Saudi Arabia. It's officially banned. The Bible, as far as I'm aware, although I'm sure they don't enforce this, but you can't have a Bible in Saudi Arabia. Now, I've heard from underground Christian groups or Catholic groups in Saudi Arabia that the authorities turn a blind eye to the 2 million Christians and Catholics in Saudi Arabia and many Filipinos who work there, and they just let them get on with them practicing their religion. But officially, we all know what it is. But it's just fascinating what gets permitted in the Vatican. It's fascinating who gets promoted in the Vatican. It couldn't be clearer that we are in a Francis II papacy, as it evolves, as it goes forward. And on the one side, we could just sit back and say nothing. But I think as Catholics, we do have a right to voice our concerns when pro-abortion politicians who vote for, legislate for, push, advocate for, they're complicit in the abortion industry, rise to be able to be considered for a Lifetime Catholic Achievement Award by a cardinal. And that our Pope, who's from Chicago, who gets phone calls from his brother every single day, or he calls his brother every single day in the States, isn't aware of the optics of this. And now he brings that same cardinal to Rome and promotes him. Look, I'll leave it at this on my thoughts on this thing, but the church is very rigid on certain forms of worship that previous generations held sacred, that is not noxious to our spiritual life, but is very open to other forms of worship being allowed, other movements being allowed to walk through the Vatican. We live in interesting times. That's all I say. We live in very interesting times. We'll see where this goes, but it's. I just thought those two news items are interesting, and I'm sure they're going to cause a lot more debate in the church, and we'll have to pray that maybe the church, if it's allowing Muslims to have a prayer room in the Vatican, maybe we'll be allowed to have a traditional Latin Mass chapel in the Vatican somewhere, dedicated somewhere, one of the side altars somewhere, so that when the SSPX comes to the Vatican, that they can say Mass there. At the end of the day, if we're allowing heretics and Muslims have a place in the Vatican for their place of prayer and worship, we should allow the others the same possibility. No? What do you think? Let me know in the comments. God bless you. Take care. Bye-bye.